Righty ho, it appears as though we're live. One quick warning before we start with anything else, because I need to get this out here right now. The computer that I'm using to live stream keeps randomly shutting down. Not like through Windows, the power just disappears. So if at some point the stream just stops, don't worry, it's just the computer just designed to randomly shut down. Anyway, now that that's covered, let's get on with it. So of course today we're going to be continuing the of the RatRig VCore 3, and yeah, that's pretty much the plan. We've obviously done quite a bit already, so this is the printer behind me. We'll bring that around in just a quick second. Obviously we've done kind of the frame, we've done some of the gantry parts, well no, kind of the belt path, and finished off getting started really with the linear rails at the end of the last stream. So we're going to continue where we picked up with fitting the linear rails and doing that kind of stuff. There was one point that we discussed last stream about the panel which is used to kind of divide the kind of front and rear chamber, and it's where all the electronics mount to, and that part is not included in the standard kit. It's something that RatRig are looking to do. They've had quite a lot of feedback about that not being there. So the intention always was originally that users acquire that locally, but that can be quite impractical for a lot of people, so they're quite likely to start looking at supplying those, but they don't at the moment. So if you're like me and you were not really necessarily surprised, but need a solution, then something like this could potentially work. So this is... Oh, so basically we're covering something else before we get going. So this is a piece of aluminium die bond, which is a composite material. It has aluminium sheet kind of top and bottom, and then like a plastic in the middle. It's not super strong, but it's quite rigid, and it's really quite easy to work with, which is what makes it quite useful for DIY kind of stuff. The corners do get a bit sharp, so it's not great for doing lots and lots with, but that's basically the plan. So I found this panel on the floor. It's reclaimed from an old printer that no longer does anything, and I've marked it all out with the all the details from that the drawing that's provided on the GitHub. So there's a set of panel drawings which you should be able to find, and I basically just marked it all out. So what I've done is used a set of kind of cheap calipers, so I have not damaged my nice fancy ones, although arguably there's not a lot of difference between them. But anyway, I've used a pair of calipers to kind of mark and score lines, and then a center punch to make indents, and then at some point when we get to this part in the build, I'll drill out all the holes, and then we'll have a nice panel that we can place into the frame. The downside of doing it this way, as in not assembling at the stage that it suggests in the instructions, is that as far as I'm aware, you won't be able to fit a full panel directly into there. You just can't do it. So it's going to have to be cut in two somehow. I might kind of do like an S shape up the middle, or just cut it straight along in one direction. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but that's kind of the plan. So for those that were asking last stream about what I'm going to do about that, this is what I'm doing about that. So it is all fully marked with, I mean, you can't really see the holes, but you can see all the black pen marks where I put like M5 or M3 and just marked all the holes that are going to be needed. So that's the plan for that, for anyone that was wondering. So, yes, hello everyone and welcome back to the live stream. Good to have you here on a Thursday, which is not a normal day really for doing it, but I really wanted to carry on. So that's what we're doing today. I think there's going to be quite a few live streams, and everything, by the way, will be available after the fact, so no one hopefully will miss anything that they do want to catch, and I can kind of pick up the pace a bit if we try and squeeze in some midweek ones like this. So yes, let's carry on. Welcome everyone back to the live stream. So we're going to be doing the same sort of format as normal. with the 4 cameras and the instructions on the side. As you can see, we've gone through the 0 preparations, frame assembly, XY drive, XY idler, Z motor, and we're halfway through linear rails. So we did part of the linear rail assembly, getting all the screws into the rails and that kind of stuff, and now we're at the point where we're attaching them. So that's where we're at with that. Just before we get started, just a quick message, very short, from the sponsors, just so you know who they are, and it'll be literally 15 seconds, and later on we'll talk about them a little bit more in detail. So here we go quickly before we get started. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, RapRig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz, so a big thank you to them for supporting the live stream. Carry on watching to find out more, or you can follow the links in the video description. Excellent. Thank you very much, of course, to our sponsors. Very, very good to have. Thank you. So, yes. Evening, Paul. Pavel, I've forgotten. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, so if you cut it short, then of course you can just kind of slide it in from the side, I guess. Although, because I've got the motors already installed, that could be difficult as well. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. I'll probably do my method and cut it in half. The printer is getting rather heavy now. So if you are doing this yourself, just be aware that it does get quite heavy. You probably won't see me very much for the rest of the stream because I'll be hidden behind the printer, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing, at least. So this is the rail that we've already installed at the back here. A little bit of oil on it still, which is basically what we want, so that's fine. And I've left the stoppers in at the moment. We may take them out later, but that will just make sure that the carriage doesn't slide off the end. So in terms of instructions, fit the T-nuts on the linear rails, On each rail, start by tightening the top screw, then move down to the bottom. Do not bolt down all of the screws in between for now. Later adjustment may be required. Oh, okay, well I did that, so silly me. I'll remember that for the next ones. Attach the 3x400mm Z rails into the frame. If you don't have an MGN alignment tool, measure the space. The rail should not rest on the motor mounts, but instead be fastened approximately 1mm above. I remember, so I had a Allen key that I was using, which I've subsequently lost. There we go. So I think I used the 1.3mm one. That'll be fine. And that will help with that. Do I want gloves? I think I probably do. Fortunately, I now have them nearby. Gloves is probably not necessary for most people, but for me, the oil can be a bit of an irritant to my skin. So a pair of gloves just stops that. As a starter kit, this is probably a bit much, especially if you're comparing to an Ender 3 V2, which is a really quite simple assembly. This is quite a lot more advanced, I would say. Probably not ideal as a starter kit. It would be doable if you have some like engineering or building experience. It's not impossible. If you have a decent toolkit and you know how to use all the bits, then it's not impossible. But if you're quite new to building and DIY kind of electronics and 3D printers in general, then it could be a bit much for your first machine. So I have to remember what each rail does. So we've got one of the rails has shorter nuts, smaller nuts. That's for the X-gantry because that goes on the 2020 extrusion. The two long ones will be the remaining Z-axis ones. So we'll get going with those. So let's point this camera right towards me and get this assembled up here. So of course you've got to align all the nuts. Should sit in. We need our alignment tool, which should be local. Here we go. That also helps hold it in place. I've been recommended to have more than one of these. So if you do fancy printing yourself a second one before your printer arrives, it's probably a good idea. What I'm going to also do, it tends to help from my experience with these last time, is if you screw in the nuts, screw in these a little bit further, then it stops them bottoming out as you install it. If you have any questions as we're going along, do put them in the chat. Some I may miss, but hopefully I won't. Especially as I don't expect there to be too many people today, because it's our Thursday. Okay. So I'm going to start up the top, I think. We need our Allen key in the bottom to get that clearance. Lego Technics, probably not quite enough. I too have built a lot of Lego Technic, but there are additional challenges over a Lego kit. I mean, if you want to learn, then it's definitely possible. I wouldn't say anything is impossible, but depends what you want out of it. Right, so instead of doing them all tight like I did on the first one, that's just the first and last screw. Oh, bank holiday in Germany. Good. It was a bank holiday in England last week, but not again this week. It's difficult to get this aligned. You can't really see this one, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, a super chat thing. I don't even know how to deal with those. Thank you very much, it's very kind. Good evening, the real Sam Prentice. Can I check Discord quickly? Really not ideal time. I'll have a go. What's the thing that I need to check? Probably not, I'm afraid. I mean, I can probably attend, but not for now, if you see what I mean. Okie dokie, so you should have decent gap top and bottom of the rail, screwed in, screws top and bottom, and then we'll do the rest of them later on as everything comes together. So that's the 3 Z ones. Attach the Y rails. Do not tighten down all the screws yet, just attach the rail by the 2 screws on the ends. Again, same as before. Attach the Y rails on both ends of the printer. Use the 30-30 corner brackets in the back as reference. The rail should touch the bracket. Okie dokie. So I might move onto the side for this one. So this is going to go... it goes... I'm going to do it upside down. That's probably the easiest then. So let's pull the belts out, make sure those aren't trapped. Okay. I'm going to do this. That should give us a decent angle here. Okay, so this is, now the whole printer's upside down, so this is the underside of the top rail. So the Y-axis whatsits rails go onto here. Okay, so should sit nice and straight, and so it's going to touch this bracket at this end, which is the angle one rather than the flat plate that's at this end. I believe that's the way around that's intended. Where did the mouse go? Yeah, you can see in that picture there, that's contacting, so that's the way around it's intended to go. So if I get that in there, push that against that, that should sit nicely. To this end. Good. Let's give the quick printer a rotate and we'll do the other one. So again, tightening all the screws so they just meet the bottom of the hammer nut. The reason for doing that is just so as you place it on and tighten it down, the nut doesn't bottom out on the extrusion, which leaves the head protruding out the top, which could hit the bottom of the carriage, which we don't want, because it then gets stuck in place and you can't move it. Obviously, if you can't move the carriage, then you can't tighten the nut either. So let me just show you what I mean, just in case you can't see. Is that going to catch? Is it going to show? Please have a look. There you go. So you can see the screws just come to the tip of that nut there. And that just means that the total length is short enough that the nut won't bottom out. Of course, we're around the other way now. So again, it's this bracket down here that we're aligning to. And having got the stopper sat in there has worked quite nicely, because it means I can use that to align. So I can push it in that way. This bracket obviously sorts this 2 directions. That's your 3 degrees of freedom. Nice. Obviously, you've got to be careful that the belt is out of the way when you're using the tool, because otherwise it won't align very well. To be honest, the Wera ones are not that much better than everything else. They look really nice and they're a bit flash, but functionally you don't gain a lot really, unless you want a ball point. I mean, you can buy cheaper ballpoint ones. Generally the cheap ones are not that bad really. If you don't have the BMG-M tool, which we do, 9mm shot, okie dokie. For the X rail, the one that will end up on the 2020 extrusion will be assembled later. The final fastening of the rails will happen further in the assembly. Okie dokie, so that's the main rails all assembled. We can now move on to the X-gantry, which is nice because it means we can move the printer out of the way and just use the desk. So let's flip it all back over again. And I'm just going to move it over to the floor. Okie dokie. I suppose it depends how cheap you go. Obviously the really cheap ones won't be properly hardened or anything, so they can be really bad. The Wera ones actually, as far as I know, have some slightly unique geometry on the hex that kind of gives the points a bit more point. So on screws where the geometry is not quite to tolerance, they can still work. I think that's kind of the point. So let's just follow the instructions instead of trying to make it up. Identify the parts. So we've got some printed parts and a few different types of spacers. So let's grab those. Not many printed parts left now, so obviously coming to the end of the mechanical assembly. So looks like the two left and right. Conveniently labelled, which is good that everything's labelled. That's really nice to see. So you don't spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to work out, excuse me. So you don't spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to work out which one's which. Very nice. So looking for some little spacers now. Take note of the difference between the shim types. We've got a micro shim, a mini shim, and a spacer. So that looks like the micro one, mate. No, that's the mini one. That's the spacer. I feel like this instruction would have been really useful actually right at the beginning of the assembly. Because there are other times where you're using spacers, and if you find maybe the tiny little ones first, then you might start using those when it's not intended that you do. I can't find them now. Oh, here we go. Tiny little bag. There we go. As soon as I get them out. We're going to need much more than that anyway, so probably might as well get everything out. So that's the first bits. Threading the idler stack. You use a micro, which one's the micro ones? Micro is the tiny ones, then the mini, then the spacer. You will use the micro shims only on the top and bottom of the toothed idlers. All other shims are the mini shims. The toothed idlers are on the front and the smooth idlers are on the back of the XY joiners. I don't know which one you would call front or back. I'm guessing this is the front, is it? Tooth on the front. No, that's the front. Judged by where the dotted lines are ending in the photo and where the tooth one is, this must be the front. So that's front and the letter is on the back. I think my parts are upside down. Which way are they going? No idea. It's the other way around for the right XY joiner. The left XY joiner has its tooth idler on the top of the stack and the smooth one on the bottom. It's the other way around for the XY joiner, the right XY joiner. The tolerances on the XY joiner parts are minimal, and that's by design. Those are too cool to read the whole page. That's definitely not me. I don't think I've ever been too cool for anything, especially when it comes to manuals. Love a good manual. Just got stuff all over the place now. So we definitely need some idlers. So again, we've got obviously two smooth and two toothed. So we need the 55mm screws. So this is going to be another difficult screw thing, isn't it? Let's get. So this is, yeah, that's this side, that's good. That's the wrong. Let's get this one. There we go. With these parts, the holes for the M5 bolts which the idlers fit on can crack if they are too tight and you force the screw in. A new version of the part has already been made to sort it. Okie dokie, good to know. Oh yeah, I can see where that would maybe happen. Good, good, good. So, micro shim. Toothed idler. Then another micro shim. Oh, I might have gone a bit generous with that. And then 2 6mm spacers. This doesn't really need spacers, does it? I mean, if the design was, you could just move that face up to here, and then you wouldn't need these. Oh, today's it. This feels quite loose. There's loads of space in there for another shim. Micro shim, tooth idler, micro shim, and a mini shim. Okay. So many shims. Shim, 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 shim. Shim, shiminy, shim, shiminy, shim, shim, chewy. Come on. Oh, it's not going to go now, is it? Because it's the threads all the way through, so we just got to... Oh, it's flown away. You know what's probably easier? Putting the big shim in last. It probably doesn't matter, right? So if we just put the small shim in now, it's probably easier to control. This is quite difficult. Oh, sorry, I've just done this whole thing with the camera not facing. There we go. Okay. Shim, 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 shim. Washer and a shim. Whoop, that made me jump. This is going to go in a really long way and stick out miles from the bottom. Oh yeah, it's supposed to. Okay, okay. There we go, that seems pretty good. Presumably, the reason for that is that here on the threads it can wobble, whereas here you get a much better fit. So that's why that is like that. Because you want the bearing to sit on the unthreaded part of the bolt rather than the threaded part. Here it wobbles because this diameter is slightly less, and here it doesn't. Good idea. Very nice. Like it very, very much. So now I guess we can do... No, so still on the left one, which is this one. Flip it over to the back and do the opposite. So shim, little shim, big shim, spacer, and the smooth. There's no micro ones, is there? Oh no, we need the mini one here, don't we? Because it goes up against the bearing. Come on, there we go. 6 mil. Thin shim. Smooth idler. Come on, in you go. And then a mini shim on the top. Hopefully. This is really difficult to do. I'll try and do something similar to what I did on some previous assemblies, which is use a little poking tool to help me align this last piece. So hold it vertically, because my fingers can't get in there, so I'm just going to use this to poke it over the hole, oh come on. And then quickly force this up, and then we're in. Oops, a daisy. This is not like, what is it? This looks quite... Have I missed something in here? I have. Mini shim. Oh, Adam, you fool. So... in here, there should have been another mini shim. A shiminy shim. Min shiminy. Put a min shiminy in there. Mini shiminy back on there. And that on there. Oop. This is not easy. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this even if I get the camera in the right place. It's all or nothing. I think we might have made it. Oops, there's it. I can't hold anything to do. My hands are just all over the place for some reason. I'm going to blame it on the residual oil on the Allen keys. That's definitely a decent excuse. A little bit tight, that one. Back it off a little bit. Back it off a little bit more. Got a bit more. There we go. Looks good. Now I have to do the same sort of thing for the other sort of side. Try not to mess it up this time. So this on here. Mini shims, one of these. 2 spaces. And a micro shim, toothed idler, and I screwed it in too far. Yes, this is a good point. I probably should have done that. The reverse Allen key strategy. Is that going to help for this last one? I don't know. The only bit where it's difficult is this very last section. Yes, that does help. So you can put it on the top. That's now locked. What? How did that come out? Oh dear. Butterfingers. There we go. Nope, nope, that's not worked. That's not gone well at all. Okay, I think we're in. Ooh. That doesn't feel great. Can't do that. Feels like the bearing's dead on that idler. That's unfortunate. Let's just try it. How am I going to be able to test it? That feels reasonable. Maybe just get a little bit of oil on it just to see if that helps. Unfortunately, it's kind of a sealed bearing, so I'm not sure much oil is going to get inside, but might be worth a shot. If anyone that is looking to buy, there's a voucher code in the description, which is for €25 off a purchase of a VCore 3. So there you go. Yeah, it's good to see a lot of people buying. Yeah, it still seems a bit grindy for some reason. I don't really know why. Have I got the shims correct? Mini shim. Yep, that's the bigger one of the smaller type. 2 6mm, yep. Micro, tiny little one. Tooth idler, yep. Micro shim. I have no idea when the code expires or if it does. Ah, I've spotted. So in here, come on, let's have some focusing, please. Useless bloody camera. So you might be able to see there's bridging in that hole, and because of the way the bridging is so close to the idler, it's actually kind of dropped a little bit and it's touching the idler, so the idler can't turn smoothly. So what I'm going to do is take it out and we'll cut away some of that bridge and then we should be alright. So let's have a go at that. Turns out it wasn't the bearings after all. Okay. So let's try and cut away You can actually see some marks of the bearing on the printed part. Okay, I think that's probably got most of the stuff that was the biggest problem. So let's have another go at the old assembly process. If you can possibly do that, that would be useful. To know when it expires, but I don't think it's super important. It's definitely going to be for while I'm doing all the live streams and that sort of stuff, I would hope, because that was sort of the point of it. There we go, much better. Just a bit of extra plastic on that bridge that's dripped down, so now we've got that all sorted. Very, very nice, excellent. So we're onto the back side and we've got the smooth idler to do. So again, the last M5 by 55 screw in the top. So mini shim, that's the bigger one. Oh, come on. Tell you what, I'm going to do the cheating way. The big one first because it's easier. Then a little one on top of that. Then another big one. Oh no, yep. Then a little one. Then the smooth idler. Screw up through that, and then we got the shim together in the top. Brilliant, thank you very much. Oh, not again. I think this one maybe I've just done a bit tight. There you go, just a bit tight. Good, 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 good. that was very good. Nice. So that's that lot. Attach the XY joiners to the 2020 extrusion. So slide the square nuts into the 2020 extrusion, 4 in the bottom and 2 in the top. So it's weird how sometimes there's like little parts lists to tell you what you need, and sometimes there isn't. Because those part list things are really useful to know what bits you need to get so you don't miss bits. So we need 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Fasten everything with 4 cap head screws and 5 by 10. 20 and 3 and 5, 16 countersunk, spares, and 5 by 10. Yeah, that's me making the mistakes so that you don't have to. So square nuts 2020 extrusion. 4 in the bottom and 2 in the top. So if I do, it's difficult to add them in the bottom, so we'll just do 4 in the top and then turn it over. 4 in the top, turn it over. That's them in there. Now, okay, might need to zoom this one in a bit. Okay, that's really, it's right at the edge. So, right goes on this end. Right goes on this end. Goes on this end, come on. There we go. Oh. They line up so nicely. Me like. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? So this is obviously now going on the other end, but the same way up. There's just a slight elephant's foot on this part, which is what makes them a bit difficult to put in. Once you get past that, slides in nicely. And you can just literally tilt it up and all the nuts go to exactly the right place. Beautiful. That doesn't seem to have much engagement though, strangely. Oh. Oh, 212 from the top. That's why it doesn't have much engagement, because somebody's not paying attention and used the wrong screw. Well, huh? Might have to dig through the spares. It's definitely not that. It's definitely not that. That's an empty bag. M3, M3, M3. Definitely not that. M3, M3, M5. Spacers. Round bar. Magnets. What's it? Spacers. Spool holder. Nuts. Nuts. M5 by 16. Maybe it's these two things in here. That looks like them. Here we go. A bit more engagement now. Helps when you follow the instructions. That's weird. This one's... have I used the wrong screw? No. Why doesn't it go far? It doesn't tighten properly, that one. It's not going all the way down. Maybe there's something stuck in it or something. Can somebody help me please? Choose the right controller board. I'm about to order the 500 version. There are 6 choices for the controller board. Well, as a sponsor, I would oblige you to get the Duet version, because Duet is absolutely awesome, and they're of course sponsoring this video. But even if they weren't, I would probably suggest it anyway, because their quality is second to none. And you don't have to rely on lots of different pieces from all over the different places working together. So I would get the Duet personally, because it's bloomin' fantastic, basically. I don't know why this one's so hard to tighten down. Okay, now it's about the same height as the other screw, so we'll leave it there before we crack something. This one from the top. Very nice. Attach the XY plates. So this is probably the parts in this little paper bag that we looked at, obviously, when we did the unboxing, and not opened since. So these are probably, yep, identical. It is nice how they've used these like metal plates to make everything a little bit extra, a little bit more sturdy than just standard. The kind of the fit that you would get just with the plastic parts. Slide the 2 XY plates on the M5 screws and bolt them down with M5 nuts. So there we go. And we need some N5 nylock nuts. This is like the only thing that isn't black. Yeah, the metal plates do just, they make the difference. Ooh, I don't know if my Wira keys are going to fit in that hole though. Can we make these holes a little bit bigger, please? Because my Allen keys don't fit down. Oh, I can actually do them up that way. But maybe, it doesn't matter. It's little niggles, doesn't really, no big deal. Let's tighten this up. This is the slight downside. I don't understand why it threads into the plastic part if you've got this at the bottom. That seems unnecessary. I assumed there was nothing down here, but obviously there is. Oh, that's way too tight. Oh, Adam, you idiot. Okay, and the other end. Yep, we're at all the things. Really useful to have. Cool. So those are easy to do. I really think. Ooh. we made a little X-gantry car. It seems unnecessary to have the plastic holes threaded. Because it makes that tightening process way more difficult, because you have to, if you turn the top, you're going to tighten this stack. If you turn the bottom, you turn the plate. So it just, I don't know, it's just, typically you just have that at the bottom and then just clamp. So it seems a bit odd, but there we go. That's what we got. Nothing inherently wrong, it's just a little bit more difficult. And attach the rail from there to there. So you've got to make sure all the nuts are around the right way. Would you look at that? Like a glove. Make sure to fasten all cap head screws. Yes, sorry. Let's do them all a little bit first, and then we'll go back and tighten them up. That carriage is extra greasy. There does seem to be a bit of twist in this assembly. I'm not sure where that's come from. It might just be that the screws are slightly different, because that's what it's sitting on, isn't it? That's fine. It's probably not actually twisted. Okay, let's tighten these up. Right, look at that. That's pretty swish, isn't it? No, I don't think you do need to use the alignment tool on this one. It doesn't mention it. It's because there's like an alignment tool basically built into the printed parts at the end. So as soon as you place it on the rail, it kind of goes into those slots and you don't have to then align it. So very nice. Kind of, that's what you call a kind of design for assembly thing, because it means you don't need the jig because it's built into the parts. Very, very good. Attach the X-gantry to the frame. Right, so now I need my frame back. Probably not going to need that alignment tool anymore. Not going to need that bubble wrap. Let's move this out of the way temporarily so I don't crush it with the printer. Let's go fetch the printer. If I'm feeling strong enough to pick it up. Right, so which way around are we going to do that? One, two. Oh, I'm an idiot. Let's turn it over. That'll be much easier. Maybe, possibly, perhaps. Might not be actually. Let's just have a look, because I think this is going to protrude above the top. It is. Yeah, the orange stoppers I could take out of this one. Obviously the orange stoppers are there to stop it coming off the end, you probably already know that, but I just kept them in as long as possible. There's no screws under it for mine because I didn't put them in. I really don't think you need an entire rail full of screws, so I sacrificed 2 screws for some red stoppers, which I've left on all of my assemblies. So they'll have to come off when I start moving everything all over the shop. Right. So cap head screws M3x8 and do not tighten them fully. This bag of completely unlabeled screws looks like M3x8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, that's going to be for the other one. Just check they're 8mm. Yep. I really can't see this very well. No. Oh. This is why you kind of need to screw these screws in, because if you don't, then they stop the carriage moving. Okay, okay. And doesn't fit. What? Oh, bastard. I feel like these holes in these brackets should probably have slots in them to give it some adjustment. Well, I think we're just about okay. Hello Nitram, welcome to the stream. You're a little late, but we won't hold it against you. Yeah, this is really, really, really tight. So I'm going to loosen these M5 screws because that's going to give us a little bit more wiggle room for adjusting the length. Pardon, the tops are blooming rotating. My X-gantry is basically just a fraction too long, so the holes are not lining up for the MGN, well, they're not MGN, but the linear rails. The only problem with them being slotted is that you could end up with the gantry fastened down whilst not being square to the MGN 12C block. Yeah, but I mean, you've got to have something, haven't you, really? There's got to be some tolerance somewhere, because never is anything perfect. The slots don't have to be very big. And you can, in theory, use the frame to get the carriage perpendicular, right? So, I mean, I'm no major expert, it's just think that would be sensible. It's possible that my plastic parts are not pushed onto the rail quite enough. That might also impact this assembly. If they're so I'm just going to loosen everything on this rail basically. Speedboat Race 3D Benchy. I don't know. Michael's pretty good. I think he's probably got more experience. I don't know. I've not done any competitive 3D printing before, I must say. So that's the stoppers out. So is that rail symmetrical? I don't know. Not anytime soon. Oh, that's hitting the end stop, okay. The end stop is hitting the belt thing, belt pulley. That's weird. Okay. I don't know why we assembled this belt stop like right at the start. It seems a bit unnecessary. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah, so I'm going to grab my other cheap Allen keys because they're going to fit in these holes now for tightening stuff up. So I need the 4mm Allen key. Oh, thank you for checking the code, by the way. It's very nice of you. Where is my camera looking? I could probably do with improving this, couldn't I? So what I've tried to do here is get it so they touch at the same time when it moves to the end, because that means it's square to the frame. Because also remember I used a spacer to align that to this, so that should be pretty good. If one end's hitting significantly before the other, it means it's kind of skewed. So that should be pretty good now. Now let's tighten these up. Did I do? Nope. Did I do this one? No. Must admit there's a bit of prior knowledge going to this. This is not necessarily following the instructions. I suppose the next instruction is ensure they're parallel. Move the X-gantry to the front of the frame and back to uncover the first hole in the rail. Fully fasten first screw, lock in the position. Yeah, okay. Do that in just a second. It's looking pretty good already. Of course the bolts are all loose at the moment, so. Oh, we've tightened all the N5s. Okay, then we should do this. So move the X-gantry to the front of the frame and back to uncover the first one on the rail. Fully fasten in the first Y MGN screws, lock in the position in the X dimension of the printer while at Y minimum. Move the gantry to the back and fully fasten the last screw of the Y MGN rail, locking in the Y max. Lock the 8 screws holding the X gantry to its MGN carriages. Move the X gantry back and forward a few times to ensure there are no spots where the gantry moves less freely. If the gantry gets caught somewhere, loosen the MGN rails and repeat the process. Fully fasten all the Y MGN screws and check again. Yeah. So this is saying move it all the way to the front, which you have to be really careful of actually, I think, because if you do, then it will fly off, the carriages will move off the front. I think let's move the red stoppers and see how far it can go. Being careful not to take it all the way off the end, because that would be a bother. Yeah, okay, that contacts. Those are contacts. So it can't fly off the rail, which is good. And it does also actually pretty much seem to contact at the same time. Apart from the bells going. Belts are all in the way. Have I put these on the wrong way round? I think I've put this carriage on the wrong way round, you idiot. Yep, I've put that to the right. After all that, give and put the carriage on backwards. I was wondering because the belt paths didn't line up. And now we assemble it all back together again. Ooh, right. That was a silly mistake, but I guess quite easy to do because it's not keyed and it all looks quite symmetrical. So. No, I don't really know Red Dwarf, I'm afraid. These 3030 are pretty beefy, so that's a good, astute observation. Oh, I've assembled it wrong. Adam, you're such an idiot. Oh, man. Nobody else spotted it either. At least if somebody did spot it, they didn't mention it. If anyone has... So I've already spotted the issue. You may not be able to... In fact, you can't see it from the current angle, but... You all watched me assemble it and nobody pointed it out. I'll show you in a second. My excuse is I've not eaten dinner yet, so I'm hungry. Can't think when I'm hungry. So, from this angle, you can probably see the stupid mistake I made. Look at that. Both pulleys are at the lower portion of the right. And one needs to be upper, one needs to be lower. I know it's super blurry, I don't know why I can't focus properly. There you go, see? A fool, a fool! So now I have to go all the way back to that step and redo that. So. Anyone who pretends they saw it now, definitely lying. You little fibbers. pretty sure. Let's just double check that I'm going to correct the right one before I correct it. And I'm not correcting the right one. Oh, so when I thought I needed to flip it round, maybe I did have it correct. Did I? I have no idea what's going on. What am I doing? Right. No, that's the right one. That's what? That's right. So that needs to be upper. No, because that doesn't work. Huh? What the dickens is going on? This is not making any sense now. Let's put this back in. I've definitely done something silly. As I said before, that's exactly what I'm here for, to show you how not to do it. Also, congratulations on your purchase of the 500 by 500. Yeah, you have to buy a small one if you want to go through a door. So that should be right, that should be left. That goes up here. So where the dickens is that belt path going? That's going through that, that's right. Just. And this upper one's going through there. Lower one smooth through there. Yeah, okay, upper one smooth. Okay, it is the smooth one that's wrong. Smooth right should be high, and I've put it low. I'm going to say that's an easy mistake to make because it makes me feel better about myself. Did it remove all your previous messages? Oh, bloomin'. Oh, it should have only... Oh. Apologies for that, Simon. It's not because you wrote those, because you had 4 ellipses, 4 dots. And it gets a bit keen. Before it only used to take off 2 messages, I think, like the most recent. I think it's just annoying because like it's useful to have the people's messages in like the archive, so you know what the conversation was in terms of like answering any questions and details. So obviously there's bits missing because Streamlabs just very kindly decided to delete them for us. We lose some of that information. This is going to be twice as difficult now it's all attached to this carriage. Excuse me. Okay, so shim, idler, pull the screw up, another shim, big spacer, little spacer, big spacer. Okie dokie. So that's now up the other way. Might be asking what Duet board you're going to use. That reminds me, actually, we should do a little sponsors segment, shouldn't we? So I always forget the name because the name's got quite confusing recently. The Duet Mini 5 Plus and the Mini 2 Plus expansion board. In fact, let's do the quick sponsor spot and then you'll know about it. So, of course, big thank you to the sponsors. We've got a quick little advert. It's about 2 minutes, 1 minute 55 seconds, and we probably should have done it 45 minutes ago. So I do apologise to the sponsors about that. Here we go. Let's get it done, and then you can know a little bit more about what's being used. So give me 2 seconds to get it up. Right, I shall be back with you in about 2 minutes. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, RatRig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz. The Duet 3 Mini 5 Plus balances value and performance. It's focused on small and medium-sized machines for those that want the quality and reliability of a Duet control board but don't want the high price or high power output of the full-size Duet 3 mainboard. The Mini 5 Plus provides 5 onboard drivers and the normal complement of heaters, fans, I/O, etc. There are Wi-Fi and Ethernet variants with the option of using a single board computer, like a Raspberry Pi, for control, in the same manner as you might with other Duet 3 boards. 3D Printz is a UK-based filament supplier, but in recent times have become so much more. They're now a great destination for finding name brand components from all over the world, such as the Anklabs BL Touch, Wham Bam Systems, flexible build plates, 3D Gloop, Magiku, Bondtech, Slice Engineering, and more. If you're in the UK and Europe, and maybe further afield too, you might want to check out their shop for your next printer upgrade. In the UK, you'll also be able to take advantage of their free shipping for orders over £50. RatRig is a company that you may not have heard of yet, but if you're into DIY 3D printers, or camera sliders, then we're going to change that today. The VCore 3 is a fully configurable CoreXY 3D printer kit. It's gone through several iterations over the years, and all the knowledge and lessons learned have been distilled into the VCore 3. MGN linear rails, low vibration idlers, robust 3030 extrusion frame, and 9mm belts are just some of the key selling points. Today, I'm looking at the 300mm cube default configuration, but it's also available in 400mm and 500mm cubes for those that like their printers big, and with lots of configuration options too. Keep watching to find out more, or if you need more details immediately, you can find the links in the video description. So there you go, now you know. I was out the room, so I didn't watch it, so I don't remember the name, but hopefully now you know the components that Duet is providing. Very kindly of them. Yeah, I might have to get one of those camera sliders, eh? Now I've got an enormous printer from them. Should probably get a camera slider. Never had a camera slider before, mainly because they're so ridiculously expensive. But the RatRig ones are definitely much cheaper than the standard kind of professional ones, if you like. So maybe worth me having a little look. So I know I'm hiding behind the machine. It's not deliberate. It's just kind of, it just all happens that way. I suppose what I can do is move this up a little then. Boop, 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 boop. Now that we're working up higher. Probably won't completely solve the situation. No, but there you go. Okay, so now we're assembling this again. So R on the right hand side, belt paths correctly set up. Oh, and I didn't get my screw ready before I... Oh, I'm looking forward to dinner this evening because I am hungry. We'll be doing maybe another 45 minutes-ish, but maybe we'll do it depending on disassembly. When the X-gantry is sorted, that might be the end for today. Oh. There's got to be an easier way to do this. Well, for a start, probably doing a screw on this side will be easier because it's closer to me. There we go, come on. I think what I would recommend to other builders who are going to be trying this, especially if you're doing it with like a 500 by 500 and the weight's nearly double what this one is to get some spacers on the corners here and turn the whole thing upside down. I think that'll make, I mean, your spacers have got to be maybe 15 millimeters or something at least. But if you do that, then you'll be able to turn this upside down without putting all the weight on the carriage. Does not come with a third hand. Probably best that it doesn't, eh? That would be kind of disgusting. Okay, that's one side in. Well, technically it doesn't use MGN rails, but it does use linear rails. And from memory, it's not the H1. The H1s are like the extra tool. Extra thick boys. Okay, that's that belt in that side. That's going to come through there like that. And this side, that's through there. Don't know why this is so loose. Get out of the V-slot, there we go. Comes up through there, that goes up through there. Goody good, good, right. So that tells me we're not quite as straight as it was before. Not ideal. Let's try and get this a bit more square again. Why is this not? Still jumping back. Still jumping back. Why is it? This is really weird. It keeps, whenever I loosen. What the dickens? I do not understand why this is... Everything should be loose. Maybe it's okay, it's just the frame perhaps. They adjust the frame, it's quite important as well, but... Cool, looking good. Yeah, that's now really So this is where we start adjusting. So why can't I? So putting that carriage, the X-gantry rather, right up in front of that first screw, and that should get that distance set, and then we loosen the back one as well, if we can. And so, because everything in the middle isn't aligned, it allows very small rotations of the rail. Move the carriage to the back, and then we screw these, and that aligns our rails nicely. I'd say that's pretty good along the full length now. Let's get the ones tight that we've just done, and then we're going to have to do the ones in between as well. Oh, not there obviously, because there isn't a screw there. Right, okie dokie. That looks pretty good to me. Okie dokie, so where are we at? Yeah, it's going to be a little while before we get to the bed dancing, I think. So we have to go back through this a bit. We did the plates, we've done the rail, we've bolted that on, and we've done the inshore parallel. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now we have to complete the belt runs. Okay, well this, I can't really complete it, can I? Because I've got nothing to actually join them to, but I can thread them through to these areas. So this one is coming up through here. Gonna have to do the bendy belty trick. Oh, how the dickens am I meant to do that? Huh? That's surely that's impossible. There's no way I can get that belt through there now. I can get it out the other side, but that's not useful. Anyone got any tips on how the dickens I'm meant to get this belt through to this gap. Because my magic belty trick is not going to work. This is actually not possible. Use a tie rib and tape the belt on the tie and end and pull through. You can use other belt fit in reverse to guide it. That might work. Oh, that is a sweet trick! Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That was a blooming brilliant idea, whoever had that one. Beautiful. Right, now we've got to do the other side. So I think these are, in my tightening, I've over tightened some of these a little bit. A big bit. This one's really stiff. I really wish on this weir tool there's a way to just lock it, but you can, it'll ratchet one way and ratchet the other, but you can't lock it in the middle, which is not ideal. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, twisted. Yes, that's it. Oh, cool. Oh, right. That's all working as intended. So we need to add this Endstop block. So I'm going to put my other Endstop back where it was. It's going to contact just nicely on the plastic part. Yeah, I don't know why this was attached in like the very first pre-assembly stage, because I would say now is the best time to install that personally. So you can align it with your brackety thing. So let's find that other printed part. Where are you? Don't know what that is. So what is this going on here? Loosen the cap head M5x12 and fasten it back through the Endstop block. So which end is this? So we can tell because the teeth one is high, so it is this side. This block appears to be, no, it's not symmetrical. It looks like that's going to fit there. Perfect. Well, that now doesn't reach, so because the little, I think the M5 screw is just basically fallen, M5 nut rather, has fallen down. I'd have to flip it all the way upside down to get it to go in. That's kind of annoying. It's probably really, really close, but it's not going to go. Do a bit of tilting. It's probably not a recommended part of the assembly procedure, but I'm going to turn it upside down so that this M5 nut falls towards me. There we go. Perfect. I mean, it doesn't really matter where that's going to go. Ooh, right this second. Don't do it too tight though, because otherwise it will crack. Ooh, right. This guide does not include the assembly of EVA carriage. Your chosen EVA variant can be assembled last. Next guide. Okay, so that's the end of that stage. So I think that's going to be a good time to stop today then. That's about as far as I was expecting to get, and we're not quite 10 o'clock and I am starving hungry. So now seems as good a time as ever to call it a day. So next time we can definitely look forward to, well, presumably EVA would be the right thing to do next. Bed dance. The bed dancing will come when the bed dancing comes. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I know it's a bit of a random day, so thank you for taking the time to watch and join along. Been good fun doing it. Do enjoy. Had some challenges this week, didn't we? Well, today, I suppose. Getting some of those assemblies around the right way and in and over the right way and all aligned. It takes a bit of fiddling, but it definitely works, so that's very good. All the parts are there, so it just takes a little bit of knowledge to get that all lined up. But I think we're just about there and pretty excited for how this is all coming together. So you can join me next time for more VCore 3 assembly. We've got quite a bit still to do, including the bed, all the electronics, firmware setup and printing. Quite a lot of things to do, but it's all good fun, so that's fine. Right, hopefully this was useful for everyone that watched live, and hopefully all's well. Anyone that watches it in the future can learn some of the things that maybe I did wrong, or some of the suggestions we've made as we've gone along to improve the assembly, any assembly difficulties that you might have. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Oh, when is the next stream? I've just seen, and I don't know yet. Maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. Probably not tomorrow night. Probably in the evening, 7:30, same time. Same time, different time. Hopefully that makes loads of sense. Bye bye.